Hey guys, I'm Matt Asplund and welcome back to another Unreal Engine 5 tutorial. In today's video, what we're going to be going over is how to package and export your game ready to ship off, send to your friends, upload to Steam, or whatever it is that you want to use it for. But today we're going to be going over how to do that. So there's not really an overview for this video, so let's just get right into it. What we're going to want to do first is make sure that we have actually built our game. I don't just mean creating it, I mean the process of actually building it in Engine. So what I'm going to do is very quickly, let's just add in a light source here so I can show you one thing that we will need to build, and that is the lighting. Let's add in a light here, let's make it super bright, and let's also just make it blue. So you can see here, we now have this light. What I'm going to do is we want to go up to build in the top up here, and this is what I mean by build. We need to build all of these things. Now what you can do is press build all levels. However, what I'd recommend doing is building the lighting separately first, and then you can build all levels. Or if you want, you can do them all separately, as building at the same time can use up quite a lot of your RAM and CPU. So if you don't have a lot for Unreal Engine to use, then you might want to do them separately. What I'm also going to do is go to lighting quality and set the quality level to whatever I want. So for example, production, and then we go to build and build lighting only once again. And you should see in the bottom right, we should get a message saying building. I might not have it because it actually might not need building because of what I'm doing. But again, you would have that if you were to do it. So you can press build all levels there. And now it's going to be building all of these different levels we have. So build texture streaming and all of this good stuff. And you see it's doing it at the bottom right. Now, build all levels doesn't mean every single map in the game. So again, some of the wording is slightly confusing for a beginner. So what you want to do is go into each individual level and then go to build and build all levels. So you can see in this map here, in the overview third person map, I want to do this. And if I had another map, I would do the same thing. Once you have actually built it, we want to go through the project settings. So let's go up into edit and project settings. And what we want to do first is in the description here for your project, you can change anything that you want. So you can change the thumbnail, the name and all of this stuff. Fill out your publisher details and legal, all of this stuff, but this isn't about actually exporting it. So what we're going to do for exporting is we want to first go to maps and modes. In here, under game default map, you want to set this to the map you want to load up when you open up your game. So for most people, this would probably be a main menu map, but if you don't have that, you just want level 1, just put that in here. So for example, you can put in any of these, but for me, it's just going to be third person map. Then what we want to do is go down to packaging, and this is obviously where the brunt of it is going to be, because this is actually the packaging section. So under project here, we have build. What we want to do is leave that to if project has code or running a locally built editor. And the build configuration, we have debug game, development, and shipping are the three main ones we're going to use. What you're going to want to do mostly is set it to shipping. This means that you can't use the console command, and this is essentially ready to ship, ready to upload to Steam, itch.io, send to your friends, whatever it is. But if you're still kind of just testing out, you want to leave it as development mode. But for the most part, you're going to want shipping. Then what we also want to do is tick for distribution. And this is, again, if you do want this to actually be for distribution, this isn't just a test. So we want to tick that as well there. Then just above this, you can see we have a little advanced tab under the actual packaging section. And we're going to open that. And now we have a lot more options here. We don't need to mess about with too much of this. For the majority of it, default is perfectly fine. But what we're going to do is essentially make it quicker, easier, more efficient, and a smaller project size as well. So the first thing we want to do is we want to make sure that we scroll down and tick cook only maps. We're going to tick that. And then if we scroll down again, we have list of maps to include in a packaged build. We're going to add elements, press the three dots, and this is going to open up the folder for our project. And we can just select the maps that we have. So go to wherever you have it. For example, you might have a maps folder. But for me, it's going to be in third person maps, third person UMap. And you just want the .umap, not the builddata.u asset, just the .umap. And I'll open that, and that will work perfectly. You do that for every single map that you have. So you can add another one there again and do the same thing. If you want to remove one, press arrow and press delete. So do that for every single map you have. And again, that means only these specific maps are included, which will save a lot of time and storage. Another good trick is you can click on directories to never cook, add an element there, and you can select the folder that you don't want to include in the package build. Now with this, make sure that you're actually not using anything in that folder, But this is very, very good if you've got some redundant folders in your project that you don't want to include because they could be several gigabytes of other stuff that you just don't need. So you can add them in there. I don't have any, but again, what you could do is just select the folder like so. And that is easy as that. Obviously, I do need that mannequin character, but if you didn't need it, you can choose not to include it. And with the specific movies to package, if you do have movies in your game, you're going to want to make sure you include those in there as well. But other than that, that is everything that you need to do under the packaging section. What we're going to go to next is we're going to go underneath this to supported platforms. On here, tick any that you want. You can leave it on all platforms if you want. But for me, I'm just going to have it on Windows. Set this wherever you want, but for me, it is just Windows. Then we're going to go to target hardware. And this is what you've set up when you first made your project. So just make sure this is still the same. For me, it's desktop and maximum. But if you've changed, then you can change it in here. Then we're going to scroll all the way down until we have platforms down here. And you'll go through all of these for the ones that you've actually just ticked. So for me, I'm only using Windows, so I'm going to set that up. But if you're doing Android as well, and iOS and Linux and Mac, set all of these up for what you need, because this is specific for each platform. So I'm just going to quickly go through Windows, because they're all very, very similar. Because all of this we can kind of keep as default settings. All I'm going to change, or well, I'm not going to change it, but I'm going to tell you to change, is this iconography and the branding here. So you've got the editor splash, obviously you don't need to worry about, but the game splash is this basically when you're opening up the engine, you see you have this screen come up here. That is what you will have, but for when you're loading up your shipped game as well. So you can change that here to whatever that you want. And the same down here for the icon. Obviously it appears at the bottom of your screen on the taskbar and on your home page and all of that stuff. This is this icon here. Now if you hover over them, you can see the dimensions is 720 by 370 for the splash and 256 by 256 for the icon. And for the icon as well, you're going to want to make sure this is a .ico file. And I'll leave a link in the description down below to an online converter where you can just upload a PNG and it will convert it into an ICO file. And that is all of the settings done. It's just some nice basic ones. The majority of the time, the default stuff is perfectly fine. What we've gone through is just making sure it packages a lot more efficiently and quickly. So once we've done that, we can close this and now go to actually packaging our game. So to do that, what we can do is go up to platforms at the top here, and then go down to the platform you want. For me is Windows, and then I will package project. Everything else you can leave as default, but you can change the binary configuration here as well if you wanted, but we're leaving it as the project settings. And we're going to just click package project. We'll choose where we want to package this. I'm just going to put it in this Unreal Projects folder here. Select folder, and you can see it is now starting to package. And if you heard that noise there in the background as well, that means it is packaging, and then you'll hear another noise when it finishes packaging as well. So you could minimize this and do something else. However, I'd recommend just leaving this doing what it wants, and I'll go back to that in a second, but you can leave this doing what it needs to do, as it will need to use up a lot of RAM and a lot of CPU. Obviously, the larger the project, the more it is going to use. You heard there, packaging failed. You can see it's failed down here as well. So we'll press show output log and have a look at why that has happened. And we have an error, unknown cook failure. Now, if I remember correctly, I assumed they would have fixed this by now, but maybe not. In Unreal Engine 5, the Fab Marketplace plugin breaks the packaging project. I assumed they'd have fixed this, as I'm now in the latest version, but they might not have. So let's go into Edit, Plugins. We'll search for Fab, and we will just disable this plugin and restart, and I'll get back to you, and we'll see if that fixes it. So we're back in, and we'll try this again. So we'll go to Platforms, Windows, Package Content, select Folder, and it's now packaging once again. You can press Show Output Log as well while it's doing this to have a look and see what it's doing. Again, this can take some time. Typically, the first time your packaging is the longest, and any time after that, it's significantly quicker. However, again, the first time could be a while, and again, obviously, the larger the project, the longer it is going to take. So make sure that you're just allowing your PC the time to use up the RAM and CPU that it needs. Those are the main two components that it's going to be using a lot of. Anything else that has high usage of those, make sure those are closed. And I'll get back to you once this one has finished, but it seems to have got further than it has last time, so I believe the issue was that Fab plugin, which is quite annoying that that's still an issue. I'm not sure why it is, but there you go. If you're having issues in UE5, that is probably what it is. And there you go. We can see it's now completed packaging. It took 3 minutes for me for the first time. So again, the issue was the Fab plugin. I assumed that would have been fixed now, but again, apparently it isn't, which is quite annoying, but that will be the issue that you're having. It's perfectly fine to disable it, just you might want to re-enable it after you finish packaging so you can continue using the plugin. But once it is finished exporting and packaging, what we can do is open up our folder where we exported it to. So mine is in Unreal Projects, and we should see that we have the folder for it. So it will just be, by default, be called Windows. We're going to open it up, and we have packaging.exe, because that's just what my project was called. I can double click that to open it up, and we should see that we have a perfectly functioning game. I mean, I don't have a game, but you see that we have the project that we created. So you can see perfectly here, we have this project. We've got my light there, which was the only difference I made, but you can see it did work perfectly. We now have a fully functioning game. You can see I can tab out, and this is an actual game down here, like so. So I think that'll be it for this video, as we've done everything we've wanted to do. What we've done today is we've created a project, we've built it, we have packaged it and exported it, and we can now use it to play our own game, and we can send it to our friends, upload it to itch.io, upload it to Steam, whatever it is that you want to do with it, you can now do as you have a fully functioning packaged game. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you found it helpful. And if you did, please do make sure to like and subscribe down below, as it really does help me and the channel out a lot. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.